Hey Waffle Gang, I do hope you're well. My name is Mark and today we're checking out some more Reddit stories, and if you do love a Reddit story, why not consider hitting that like, subscribe, maybe that notification bell too, and let's crack on with today's first story. Much love guys. Now today's first story is coming from Avalyn from our very own subreddit r/Mark Narrations. Don't forget, feel free to share your stories over there too. There is a couple of updates on this one, so let's get started. And thank you Avalyn for sharing it. It's titled, Am I the Arsehole for cutting my father out of my life after he didn't attend my wedding? I, 35 female, have written this so many times. It's just hard to get all of my feelings out. I apologize for this being long. I was very low contact with my father for many years. He and my mother had a bitter divorce when I was 18, and he found his current girlfriend Debbie when I was 20. Without going too in depth, he was physically and mentally abusive my whole life until I moved out when I was 20. When the pandemic hit, he started calling more. With the state of the world and me now being in my 30s, I was more open to communicating with him. We very slowly would communicate, with me setting very firm boundaries with conversation topics. He would occasionally violate them, scream at me, he'd go in time out, and then he'd be good for a while. When I met my husband, Victor, my father was actually excited for me, spent time trying to get to know him over the phone, was happy for me. When I moved in with Victor, my father actually apologized to me for everything he had done. For the first time in my life, I felt heard and validated by my father. He apologized for all the horrible things he did to me, and I cried. I felt validation and relief like I'd never had before, and I was then completely open to a relationship with him again. When I got engaged, he was thrilled. He asked if he was walking me down the aisle, and I had told him no. It didn't really feel right to me, and I wasn't having bridesmaids or groomsmen, so it made sense to walk by myself. No one in my family was ever there for me, so why wouldn't I walk towards my next chapter alone like I did my adult life? He was disappointed but was okay with it. I told him we can have a dance if that was good with him, and he agreed. I told him everyone on my mum's side was excited to be able to see him again after so many years. Him and my mother have been cordial for years at this point, so there was no animosity. He set up a dinner and had me and Victor over. It went very well. I was actually feeling positive about everything. We made plans for him to meet Victor's parents. It was a big deal because we had to travel to a different state to bring them. We made plans to make the trip and coordinated everything. The week before the meeting, my father wanted to cancel. He said Debbie was having an exploratory surgery and she wouldn't be recovered in time. I said we had already made these plans, but that's okay, and asked if we could just drive by, and he could just step outside his home and say hi. Victor's father, who was in his 70s, was having an extensive surgery himself, so it was important to meet him now before he had it. He begrudgingly agreed. When we pulled up, I was surprised she came out with him and looked completely fine. No bandages, walked fine, no indication of anything. I thought that was odd, but who am I to judge? They both came out, said hi, and we moved on. He made plans over the course of the next few months. Every time the week of, he would cancel. Excuses started pouring out. His friend's car broke down and he needed to lend him money. We offered to pay for dinner, but they declined. Debbie was having exploratory surgery again. How many can one person have? Debbie had a doctor's appointment that he just found out about. They have to take the car to the shop, etc. Lies he had told over and over again. Some he reused from when I was growing up with him, and I knew he was lying. His favorite lies were always medical. He wanted to treat me for my birthday in the summer, but that never happened. After we had to reschedule 3 times, I just said, forget it. We'll see you at the wedding. He started to be drunk on his phone calls again, started being argumentative again. But he was excited for the wedding. He was going to make a nice trip out of it with Debbie and stay a few days. 3 weeks before my wedding, I got a phone call from Debbie. They share a phone. And as soon as I picked up, she demanded to know why I didn't tell anyone that the parking garage next to the hotel we had a room block in charged $25 a day to park. I was dumbstruck because firstly, I had no idea that the hotel didn't comp that. We live local to the venue, so we're just going home after the wedding. Second, it's a major city. Of course they're going to charge, and honestly, $25 isn't that bad for the city. Thirdly, why are you calling me to complain about this? No one else had. I can't exactly change it. I told her I had no idea, that no one else who booked at the hotels had told me, and that $25 was actually a pretty good deal. I told her that if they couldn't afford it, it wasn't that big a deal. Maybe they should only stay one day, or because they only live an hour from the venue, they didn't have to stay at the hotel. The venue itself has free parking. She hung up on me. We were getting married on Sunday in early November. The Tuesday before the wedding, I got a phone call from my father that I missed because I was having an emergency doctor's appointment due to having been in the hospital the day before. Stress from everything exasperated a prior medical issue, and instead received a text. The text said he wasn't coming to my wedding, that Debbie was having exploratory surgery and they couldn't come, that he would still send a card. I knew then that he was lying, as he had lied the whole year. I text begging him to come. I wanted him to come. It wasn't about money. That I'm his daughter and this was the biggest day of my life. To come for even an hour. Debbie would be fine for a short time. She has family that she could watch her for a couple of hours. He didn't have to stay. He replied that it's not a contest of who's more important, and he was surprised at me. I gave my wonderful victim my phone while I was sobbing. I couldn't respond. I was hurting and devastated. He articulated a text, showed it to me for approval, then sent it. It said basically, very politely but firmly, that if he couldn't spare a couple of hours of his time to see me on the biggest day of my life, then we will go back to no contact, and I will never again speak to him. My mother, who's her own story for another day, even called him to scream at him for what he was doing. She knew his lies too, and called him out on them. He said, "Don't worry, she'll still get a card." I kept him unblocked up until mid-morning the day of my wedding. Not one message, not one call. I was so upset and angry. He raised my hopes of having my father be there for me, then killed those hopes without a thought. I blocked him the day of my wedding. My wedding day was absolutely perfect. It was everything we wanted. I felt a little sad right before walking down the aisle, and some friends who didn't know about my father asked me where he was. But other than that, I didn't even think of him. It wasn't until after Thanksgiving that I thought to check my blocked messages. He hadn't sent me one message the day of my wedding wishing me luck. Nothing. But he did send one message on Thanksgiving. To summarize, it said, "Debbie will always come first. You should understand that." I don't understand it. I told my brother, who still talks to him, that he is dead to me, and if he asks, to tell him that. My brother thinks that Debbie is the one preventing my father from being with his family. I quite frankly don't care. He made that decision, and these are the consequences. He asked my brother how much of a wave he made not coming, and my brother told him, "A big wave, but I'm not talking about it." So I made the decision my father will no longer be in my life. I have so many emotions about it, but it's mostly relief, sadness and anger. But I can't help but occasionally check my blocked messages now, because some part of me just wants to know if he knows how badly he hurt me, or if he even cares. And some days, I just want my dad. Sometimes I wonder if I'm doing the right thing by cutting him out of my life. Am I the asshole for erasing him completely forever going forward? Am I doing the right thing? And no, we still haven't gotten that card. Got a happy Easter text though. And as always, I know the title's mentioning wedding, but it's about much more than that, isn't it? It's about a pattern of your father raising your hopes, him deliberately disappointing you. He lets you get close, makes you believe that things have changed. He's a changed person now, believe him. And then he'll pull the rug from under you in the absolute cruelest way possible. He's shown you who he is time and time again. He's told you Debbie will always come first. He's not attended your wedding, he's let you down on your birthdays, and he wouldn't even meet your future father-in-law before his surgery. And my heart absolutely breaks for you, because you can see how much, when you said, "Some days I just want my dad," and my head just dropped for you, because as sad and as brutal as this will sound, you want the dad that you actually deserve to have, not this one, because he doesn't deserve your time and effort. He doesn't deserve your love. This guy is deliberately hurting you in your most vulnerable moments as well. You've given him a chance to prove himself time and time again, and all he's proven is that he's incapable of being the father that you deserve. Protect yourself. Absolutely no contact with this guy. Someone suggested to OP that he may never have planned to come. OP says, "I think you're right. I hate to think this was his plan all along, and some part of me still hopes that at some point, maybe he was actually planning on coming. But ultimately, I think this was his plan to drop out right before my big day. I'll never know." Thank you for your kind words. Reading the support from such nice internet strangers is helping me heal and be at peace with my decision. Someone says, does he have substance abuse issues? Opie says yes. Growing up, both he and my mother were alcoholics. The kicker, back when he first dated Debbie and before I left, my father had custody of us after the divorce. I was old enough to leave, but I couldn't leave my brother alone. Another story for another day. I found some white powder on the garage table. I had no idea what it was and cleaned it off. My dumbass thought it was salt. Later, when Debbie and my father argued, she came into my room and apologized for getting him back into drugs and confessed to me that she started him on cocaine and pills. After his first heart attack, they apparently stopped the drugs and only used alcohol. Zookeeper GameWise says, not the arsehole, but one thing to be aware of. If and when you find that you're expecting a child, he will come back. Promised he is a changed man, promising a new start, promising it will be different this time. At that time, ask yourself why you should ever let your child suffer the pain, confusion, manipulation, and rejection that you did, and kick him back to the curb. OP, Evelyn says, that's Victor's fear. That I'll bend when a child comes around. He had a long talk with me about that, and he reminded me of my childhood and how he knows I would never want to expose a future child to that. He's absolutely right. It does make me sad that my future kids will never meet my father, but ultimately, it's the best decision. My niece met my father once at a baptism and then never again. She asked my sister questions and my sister doesn't really know what to say. Just that he was not a very nice person. Moon Tiara asks, I'm sorry all that happened and for everything you went through. You did not deserve it. I question why you even think you'd be an arsehole. I also wonder why you want to know if your father understands or cares if he hurt you. What will you gain if you find out? How do you even know if it's the truth? What does it even matter? You said he apologized for his past behavior and then repeated it. Was any of the apology or effort even genuine if he so easily and willingly lies and hurts you? Is that not proof enough that his priority is himself? Always himself. It has nothing to do with you and everything to do with himself. Based on what you've said, your father chose to not be a reliable or loving person to you and opted to have you when it is convenient and good for him. That is not what a relationship is. If you cut him out of your life, you can mourn the idea of the father he could have been and invest your energy into other people that treat you with love and respect. Good luck. OP says, I have some friends telling me, just give it time and let him back, or he's your dad, you can't just cut him out, even after knowing everything. Or, my dad is dead, I would kill to still have a chance to still talk to him. It really caused my resolve to waver. I didn't even think about the fact that his apology could have also been manipulation also, and not genuine. That is rather upsetting, and I need to digest that. And obviously there was a lot of comments after that talking about the friends who actually said that to give him more chances. OP says, yeah, I've been drifting away from the ones that have said that, but they planted the seeds of doubt in my head. They were newer friends because I moved states to live with my husband. My good friends, my ones for over 20 years, so they've seen everything, were the ones that basically told him to his face that they hope he dies alone when they moved me out when I was 20. Epic story. But I don't see or talk to them as much anymore since I moved. I think the lack of my normal support is getting to me. So OP comes in with an update 4 months later, and there's one to follow after that one as well, and says, I got a request for an update. Mark should add an update flare, lol. I'm sorry, I'll work on that. And now I have some time now that things have settled. Though that hasn't really been an update, more of a development. First, I want to thank you all for your comments and advice. The fact that any of the Waffle Gang, representing, took the time to write me a comment meant the world to me. You all truly encouraged me and strengthened my resolve. Right after my post, I had a good talk with Victor and echoed everything you all said. I even looked into deleting my father's number permanently from my phone, but apparently that would unblock him. After a lot of reading through the comments and reflecting on what everyone said, I really started to think why I ever thought I was the arsehole for cutting him off. Well, I guess I have my answer. My brother Devon, 30, is really impressionable. He lives with my mother, and while living with my mother can be a nightmare, they were doing well. My brother means a lot to me. I gave up school, a career, and took on 3 jobs to be able to help raise him for a few years with my dad after my parents' divorce. He's always struggled to truly be independent, mostly due to my father's coddling most of his life. He was the golden child, the only boy. In an attempt to help him succeed, some family members, Mum's side, decided to step up and get him out of my mother's house and support him to a move to a warmer state to rent with some cousins. They even paid for him to fly out to the new state and see if he wanted to move. When he got home, he apparently went straight to my father's and spent 4 days there. I have no idea why. I called up my brother a few days after he returned back to my mother's. He said he was really looking forward to moving to the new state. After talking to him a bit, I mentioned that I was happy for him, but really sad I'd be losing one of my close family members I talked to. His response? Well, I'm the only family member who still talks to Dad, so imagine how he feels. I was stunned. I said, I'm sorry? What did you say? He got angry and just said, well, when I move, Dad will really have no one, because you refuse to talk to him even though it's been months. You really should feel bad for him. He doesn't understand how you can still be mad at him. All those feelings came flooding back. The doubt, the guilt, the am I doing the right thing? And then the anger came. In that moment, I realized that this is what my family normally does to me, and what my father normally does. He plays the victim, makes everyone feel bad for him, even though I'm in the right. I'm made to feel like a piece of shit for having boundaries. I took a breath and explained to my brother. Devon, Dad made his choice. He chose this. I was open to him being a dad. He declined that. He didn't want to be in my life. He has no right to complain. He did this to himself. I don't care if Debbie made him not go or not. He's a grown-ass man, and he didn't go to his own daughter's wedding. So he can stay dead to me. It was his choice. My brother didn't have anything to say to that. Just rushed me off the phone with barely a goodbye. Hung up after I barely got the words, love you out. I told Victor what Devon said, and he was appalled. He wished I had taken the call near him so he could speak to my brother himself. I told him that my father brainwashed him, that he's not normally like this. He reminded me that Devon is a grown man and not a child anymore, and that I shouldn't excuse what he said. I became so upset, my resolve shaken once again. I felt awkward about the phone call, so I followed up the next day. He wanted to move the beginning of June. I asked him to visit before he goes from a car distance ride away to a plane ride, and he said he would see me mid-May for his yearly visit to me like always. Then a week before our normal visit date, I found out from my mother. My brother texted her and told her he plans to move in 4 days and make the multi-day long drive to the new state. So he lied to me and didn't even plan on seeing me to say goodbye. Victor had no words, just that he's incredibly disappointed in my brother. My brother called me the day before he left. He sounded so happy, saying, "Hey, what's up?" I told him, well, honestly, I'm a little hurt and disappointed in you right now, because I'm assuming you're calling to tell me you're leaving tomorrow, and you're not even bothering to say goodbye to me. He then was adamant that he told me. Then, when I pointed out that he didn't, he erupted in anger at me, saying I was always playing the victim, and why wasn't I happy for him leaving, and how dare I make him feel guilty? Almost word for word what my father would say. I told him I'm thrilled he's moving and having a new opportunity. I'm upset he's telling me 12 hours before he's leaving and not saying goodbye, when he literally has to pass within 20 minutes of where I live when he leaves. After I started crying, my brother apologized for not telling me. I offered to be up at whatever time he needed. I just wanted to hug him goodbye. He declined, said he'd be back eventually. Victor was listening and was getting angry at my brother and how he was speaking to me. He's so agitated with him and is hoping he starts acting like an adult in the new state. It's been months now since he moved. I've heard nothing from my father. My brother and I talked occasionally on the phone, with me checking in especially that first month. He's struggling where he is to get a full-time job, but he's doing everything he can to at least pay rent. He became busy in the last month, so I hadn't heard from him in a while. My birthday came, he sent a happy birthday text and said he'd call later. At 11:45 p.m, I finally got a call from him. I was in the middle of a video game match with friends. After a brief chat, I asked if he was free the next night. He said yes, so I told him I would call him the next day for a proper catch-up because he caught me in the middle of something. He hung up on me and didn't answer my call the next day. I haven't tried to call since. I did check for this post, and I did not receive any messages from my father, not since his happy Easter. Ever since him and my mother separated, he always forgotten my birthday anyway. I'm at a loss. I don't know what I did wrong, or what I did to deserve this treatment from him. Is this all because I won't forgive my father? And I'm just sitting here, just sad. All I've ever wanted is my family to love me, and I don't know what to do next. If you have advice for me, I just ask you to say it kindly. My heart is rather full of emotions at the moment." Top commenter on this one said, "Sometimes blood is just a stain. Just let your husband and who comes into your life in a positive way be your family. I know easier said than done, but they only cause you pain. Also, counseling should be considered because you are internalizing and blaming yourself for their failings." And we do have another update in a moment, which comes 6 months later from that post. And I don't think there's much to add from what I said the last time, but towards your brother now. I mean, it just sounds like he's going down the same path your father, and I suspect that's been for a very, very long time. And you mentioned that your brother isn't always like that, but it does make me wonder, because you mentioned that he was the golden child, etc., etc. And it just sounds like you've sacrificed so much for everyone else, even to help raise your brother. Yet he's unable to show you like basic consideration or respect. It just sounds like he's going down the father's path, or maybe already has been for some time. It really sounds like, possibly like that comment said, maybe talking to counseling or professionals about this to unpack it all, but just stepping away from these people and enjoying Victor, enjoying that side of the family if they're supportive of you, and just enjoying support. But 6 months later, OP comes in with another update and says, "I've gotten a couple of requests for a further update, and I do have some new developments, so I can at least share something with you all. It's not a full pot of tea, but you can sip it from a dainty teacup made of my unresolved issues. Also, thank you for all your kind words. I appreciate all of you taking the time to comment and make me feel validated." Okay, now for the update to the update. My brother. In early October, my brother called me and saying how he wasn't doing well in the new state, and he basically wanted to come back home. In a way, I wonder if he was fishing to live with me and Victor, so he didn't have to return to my mother, but I would never live with him ever again. I basically told him to talk to our mother and work out a plan to come back if that's what he wants to do. I'm through trying to fix things for him. He promised to return for Christmas, which of course didn't happen. I haven't heard from him since. I've gotten a group holiday text, but I absolutely refuse to reach out. He's broken every promise he gave me, and I'm finally feeling strong enough to distance myself. Through my mother, I found out he got a better job and was looking to stay there. I guess I wasn't needed anymore, so that's why I haven't gotten a phone call or text. And then just yesterday, I found out he isn't working anymore because his car has finally become a paperweight, a 20-year-old car that he never took care of. My mother used to force him to get oil changes and basic maintenance, and now without my mum there to annoy him into adulting, it finally died. So I feel at this point either my uncle is going to help him with a vehicle, or he's going to try and move back. I will bet money he will try to move in with my father if he does return. If that's the case, I do feel that they will both join forces to try and manipulate me into forgiving them and using me, my father. He actually has been trying to reach out. I've received multiple texts from him every holiday saying how much he loves me and will always love me and wishes me and Victor well. I also keep getting calls and silent voicemails from random numbers. My sister even met with him for the first time in years because my niece wanted to meet him. He tried again to justify not going to my wedding, and my sister told him that there was zero excuse. He should have gone to the ceremony at the very least. He kept trying to defend himself, but my sister kept shutting him down and saying he could have made at least a minimum effort. While I'm not close with my sister, I greatly appreciate her saying that for me. Overall, she said he behaved himself and was fine. I actually was doing really good about not checking the messages, but I still once in a while have my curiosity get the better of me. Victor gets mad at me when I check. He wants me to not get sucked in again with either my brother or father. He still plans on having a chat with my brother next time we see him. I do feel myself starting to feel bad. My anger just isn't as sharp anymore, but I'm holding strong, reminding myself that I seem to only be his daughter when it's convenient, and that to me isn't a father. But I'm still just a girl who wants her dad, and I'm trying so hard to not fall back into his perpetual pit of assholery. Me, I'm not gonna lie, I've been lonely. All my friends after the wedding have disappeared. I reach out to them asking how they're doing and get one-word answers back, which hurts. I've been trying to make new ones, but it's been hard. I spend most of my days either working at home online for our business or playing video games alone or with Victor. I love my husband, but sometimes I just want a girl day. My self-confidence has plummeted. I don't like what I see in the mirror anymore. We've been trying for a kid with zero luck, so that's taken a hit with my mental health as well. But I'm actually going to my first therapy session next month, which I'm incredibly excited about. So unfortunately, my saga isn't over. If something major happens, I'll definitely let you waffles know. Opie added some comments below that one. They said, we already live about 1.5 hours from my friends and family, so I'm not worried about them coming. If my father thought the hour drive to my wedding was too much, I'm confident he won't make the drive to my home. He's had my address for over a year and hasn't done anything with it. Not a card or anything. No contact with my dad has been solid. I haven't spoken a word to him or texted him since he didn't show up to my wedding. No contact with my brother is harder, but I've been keeping to it. If he wants to reach out, I'll answer, but I'm done trying. It's been peaceful. I do worry if he comes back and I see him in person, I'll cave again. What makes me waver is my chosen family has kind of left me. We were so close and would do anything for each other, but I no longer feel supported at all. They've been my friends for over 20 years, so it's been a lot to take. Commenter replies that saying, what changed with your friends, do you think? It seems weird that they all dropped you after the wedding. Have you tried speaking to any of them and asking if something happened or if you somehow offended them? It may be a misunderstanding somehow. Opie says I have no idea. Maybe it's because I don't see them often anymore. I have asked and they just say that they're busy. I haven't spoken to them often enough to offend them. I still get invited to things, but I typically can't attend, which they say they completely understand. I was able to see one of them in October and it was so nice and everything was fine. I think maybe they're just moving on to the next chapters in their lives. With me so far, they just aren't taking me with them. Commenter says, wait, you're feeling lonely even though your friends are reaching out and inviting you to things and you are declining. I'm not sure it is your friends who are dropping the ball on the friendship. Opie says they invited me to one of their child's birthdays in November and a barbecue in the summer. If they're having other gatherings, I'm unaware. I invite them out to my place in May every year, but they all declined. And a commenter, part of a longer comment, says, it completely sucks, but usually being the child-free ones means you've got to put the time in to drive to them. It's definitely unfair, but it's usually the way it goes. Opie says, yeah, I really should make a trip to visit just them. I just try to do as much as I can when I go there. Maybe when it gets warmer, they'll be more receptive. I just don't know why they don't answer messages anymore. At the bare minimum, they could at least text and we can talk that way. Someone questions Opie and says, do you talk too much about your family with them? Opie says, I don't normally talk to them about my family at all. I'm just talking about it here to have an outlet. I actually purposely try to be upbeat and positive around them because I know they're exhausted with kids and don't want to listen to my complaining. I guess a lot of my negativity gets pent up, but writing about it here helps. Opie adds another little edit a couple of days after that and says, at your recommendations, I did reach out to my friends. I saw they were playing a game together on Discord they hadn't invited me to. I joined the chat and told them I missed them and wondering if I had done anything wrong. They assured me that everything is fine and are now making time to talk to me more. So I'm happy about that. Oh, that's nice. That's got the bloody onion ninjas running around here again. It's nice that you got in contact with friends, and I can only imagine the amount of relief you felt when, they said, everything is fine, and now you're making efforts to talk to each other more, which I think is lovely, especially considering the situation that's going on with you right now. And I can kind of see how it got to that situation where you're not seeing each other as much. As soon as you live a ways away from each other. I'm very guilty of the same thing with my friends sometime. You recognize that months has gone by and you haven't even spoken to them, or you've just sent the odd text message. And I can understand where they're coming from with not responding to text messages or one-word answers and stuff. I'm rubbish with that kind of stuff as well. They may be much better, but I'm just talking about my point of view. My friends, occasionally I get friends text me and they send a nice message and they send a message or something and I just respond with a quick message. I like to meet face to face, And OP also kindly gave us a bit of cat tags as well, which will be on your screen right now. Sorry if you're on the podcast, you won't be able to see it. But it's a beautiful cat. Just close your eyes and picture it. And I'm so glad that you're going to be doing therapy as well, that you're excited for therapy. I hope it's going to be amazing for you. I hope it's going to, give you some self-assurance that you're not in the wrong in this. Your father's let you down. Your father's made that choice time and time again, and you deserve so much better than that. So much better. He's used up all his chances. He doesn't get another one. But thank you so much for sharing your story with us so far, Evelyn, and I really do hope the therapy goes well for you. Don't waver on these people. Protect yourself and keep saying to yourself that you deserve better than that, because you simply do. But now I'm going to turn this one to you guys. What do you guys make of this situation? Let us know your thoughts down in the comments below. And if you want to share your own story, r/Mark Narrations, go and get involved over there. Relationships, neighbor drama, bit of work drama maybe. Share your story over there. And just a huge thank you for being here today, getting involved in the stories, sharing your love to Evelyn and others down in the comments below. It always means the absolute world. And I will see you in the next one. Take care and much love.